Hey, everybody, glad you're here. I am Dr. Joe Esposito. This is the show that's going to help you naturally get well and stay well. My goal is to help you take control of your own health because so many people are suffering needlessly when it comes to health care because they don't know what to do. So, before I do shows, I always come up with topics, of course, and so I was kind of quizzing my staff and some of my friends, even some of the people here at the station. And I asked them, I said, what do you think is the number one cause of disability in this country? And, of course, back pain came up and diabetes came up. But the number one cause, by far, is depression. Is that interesting? Now, who would have ever thought that that was the reason we're spending more money and losing more time out of work than anything else? And so depression is a big issue. And it's not something that's discussed. According to the World Health Organization, depression, sorry about that, a little bug flew in my throat there. According to the World Health Organization, depression is now the leading cause of ill health and disability worldwide, affecting more than 322 million people worldwide, 16 million Americans. Globally, rates of depression increased 18% between 2005 and 2015. This is a big issue. And I see it with my people I work with. I see it with my patients. I see it with my friends. Depression is rampant, and nobody seems to be talking about it because for some reason it still has a stigma on it. You know, if you have depression, there's something wrong with you. Well, there is, but just like saying to somebody you have diabetes, well, there's something wrong with you. Well, there is. But the problem is that nobody's talking about what to do about it. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what you can do to help better your mood. According to U.S. National Institute of Health, 11% of Americans over the age of 12, remember that number, 11% of Americans over the age of 12 are on antidepressants. Among women in their 40s and 50s, 1 in 4 is on antidepressants. So this is something I see a lot because patients come in our offices and we say, taking any medication. And it's shocking how many people, women more than men, are taking the medication. Financial impact is outrageous. The World Health Organization estimates the global economic loss by households, employers, and governments is at least $1 trillion annually. So it's costing us a lot of money. It's costing us our relationships, our jobs, our family, our self-esteem. But nobody's talking about what to do about it. Until today. That's the good news. Depression is strongly linked to an increased risk of substance abuse and diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and the big one, suicide. I've seen and heard of a lot more suicides in the past 10, 15, 20 years than I have the rest of my life combined. And it's really scary. And many times when the brain starts to malfunction, you can't think logically. And this goes for everything. This goes for any addiction. If you're addicted to alcohol, if you're addicted to sugar, if you're addicted to gambling, you know you're not supposed to be doing it, but you could just this one time. I'm just going to have a treat. I love that one. I'm going to treat myself. Obesity. I used to be very fat, so I can say the F word on the radio. Yeah, I'm just going to have one. You know what? I ate really well today. I'm going to have a donut because I'm going to reward myself. That's not a reward. That's a punishment. And we do the same things with children, which I believe is contributing dramatically to depression in children, is every time a kid does something. I mean, the kid can, blow his nose good. And suddenly what are we doing? Well, here's a treat. Here's a candy. Here's a cake. Here's a donut. And years ago, we didn't have to worry as much. Gosh, I sound like an old man here. Because the sweeteners that we used were a lot different than they are today. When I was a kid, we used something called sugar. Now we're using things like high fructose corn syrup, artificial sweeteners, sucralose, aspartame. And these chemicals, plus the dyes and additives that we're adding into our foods, are really having a dramatic impact on brain function. Where autism was 1 in 6,000 when I was a kid, now it's last study I read was 1 in 45. 1 in 45 kids have autism. I feel there's a chemical issue here. That's everybody's, autism's terrible. Oh, we have to support autism. We have to take care of our autistic children. But nobody's talking about what to do about it. Majority of people with depression suffer in silence. High-income countries like the United States, 50% of depressed individuals do not get treatment. In low-income countries where depression can actually be higher, 80 to 90% of the people don't get treatment. For someone living with depression, talking to a person they trust is often a good first step. And again, it has that stigma to it. Well, I have depression. I don't want to talk about it. I just got to buckle down. I got to work harder. I got to, pull myself up on my bootstraps. But many times there's chemical or physical reasons. It's not just willpower that we're talking about. And we're going to talk about the chemical and physical reasons that are going on and the easy things that you can do every single day to help fight these things. It's not hard. It's easy. And if you know someone with depression, or if you're suffering, because I know a lot of you listening statistically have depression, start taking little steps. People come to me all the time, and been doing this for 32 years now in practice, plus my schooling and my clinic work in school and all the research I've done over the years. And they say all the time, and they say, I'm not willing to do everything you say when it comes to nutrition. I'm a chiropractor. I'm not willing to buy into this whole thing. I say, okay, what are you willing to do? And I say, I'm willing to give up this food. I'm willing to give up that food. I'm not willing to give up my coffee. I'm not willing to give up this. Step by step, they start doing it, and 100% of the time, they say, why didn't I do this sooner? Folks, I'm going to open up the phone lines, not for just depression, but any healthcare question. If you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E, 844-44-DR-JOE. My website, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, loaded with good information, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks for listening to Dr. Joe Show. I am Dr. Joe, and we're talking today about the number one cause of disability in the country, and actually the world, and that is depression. And it's a big issue. I see it all the time in my offices, and it's something people come to us a lot for. We're chiropractors, but because we do a more holistic approach of dealing with any type of health issue, a lot of people come to us from all over the world, and they want to know, Doc, what can we do? And one of the big things they come to us, number one reason they see us for is back pain. As chiropractors, of course, that makes sense. Neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, and we're pretty good at fixing that stuff. We've been doing it for a long time. Second most reason people come to us is for digestive disorders, acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. And the third most common reason is emotional disorders. And the emotional disorder component is directly tied into the digestive system. I'm going to give you a few more statistics here, and they're going to tell you why, if you have an emotional disorder, chances are you have an undiagnosed or misdiagnosed digestive disorder. And when we fix the digestive system many times, the brain gets better. So it's really kind of cool stuff. So we're talking about depression. Exercise is often overlooked. Gut health is overlooked. Vitamin D is overlooked. You've got to start thinking about what can I do to make myself healthy, physically as well as emotionally. Now, that being said, if you feel desperate, you have thoughts of suicide, I want you to call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. It's toll-free, 1-800-237-TALK, 1-800-273-TALK, or call 911 or go to an emergency room, because we don't want you doing something that you're going to regret, or, worse than that. Suicide rates are up. United States suicide rates have risen since 2000, primarily in rural areas. The trend is blamed on effects of social isolation, economic pressures, opioid addiction, and limited access to mental health care. The opioid addiction, I did a show on this a couple of weeks ago, and if you go to my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, we're the number one Dr. Joe in the world, you'll see an archive of hundreds of hours of radio shows. It's a podcast. And if you want to listen to those shows, I want you to, and the cost for that is nothing. I'm giving you that as a gift because this is information that you need. This is healthcare that really, really works. I'm not saying don't take medication. I'm not saying don't have surgery or drugs. I'm saying that we need to start looking at healthcare from a different angle. I don't know what the future holds. I was at a hike the other day, and I was talking to a fellow there. I just met him on a hike, and he was a senior, and he was talking about Medicare, and he just went on and on and on about how Medicare is, you have Part A and Part B, and the D and the F for I didn't even know there was Medicare Part F, and just how crazy it is, and how a lot of doctors now just drop out of insurance policies because it's such a nightmare, and you, the patient, is suffering. We have a doctor shortage, folks, and it's going to get worse. I promise you it's going to get worse. It costs a lot of money to go to doctor school, and the doctors aren't making the money to pay the loans back, so they're saying, why am I doing this? So we're in the beginnings of a really serious healthcare crisis, doctor shortage. So you need to learn how to take care of yourself. Suicide rates among men is 4 times higher than that of women. Suicide has risen sharply among young teens. Antidepressants may play a role in these cases. Many antidepressants are known to increase suicide in children, teens, and young adults, yet despite the warnings, the drugs are still being prescribed for younger people. So it's some serious, scary stuff again. And a side note, what do you think, what profession do you think has the highest rate of suicide? Veterinarians. Just a side note, I thought I'd throw it in here. 2014 study by Centers for Disease Control and Prevention found that 1 in 6 American veterinarians have contemplated suicide. Veterinarians suffer from feelings of hopelessness, depression, and other psychotic disorders 2 to 3 times more than the general public. And the thought is that it's so high because there's financial struggles, and it's difficult because they have to make life and death decisions literally every day. And so of all the doctors, it costs more to go to veterinarian school, by the way, and they make a lot less money than other doctors. So, and people just assume, well, you just love my animals, so you're going to treat them for free or you're going to take care of them. Well, it's a business, folks, and they got to pay the bills too. So I want to spend a lot of time talking about solutions for depression. Not saying don't take your medication. Please understand that. If you're on medication, continue with your medication. But I want you to start thinking about maybe there's some things that I can do personally to take control. And if you know someone who's depressed and they're not capable of making these changes, you can help them. A lot of things we're going to talk about are real simple, basic things that you can help implement into somebody else's life that hopefully is going to have a major impact and maybe save their lives. Nutrition is going to be a great place to start for depression. Foods have an immense impact on our brain. And so if you're eating the right foods, you're going to see a dramatic change in your attitude. Now, a lot of you have done this, and a lot of you from all around the world listen to this show. You've been listening to me for years. And every single day I get emails, 7 days a week, and they say, Dr. Joe, I took your advice, and I did one step. I gave up one of the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener. I know what you're thinking. If I had to give up one of the 7 deadly sins, what's the number one to give up? Artificial sweetener. So if you're doing artificial sweetener, that's sodas, cookies, candies, cakes, donuts, even supplements have artificial sweetener. Chewable vitamins, I've seen it. You got to give up the artificial sweetener starting now, today. If you have it in your house, don't give me this. Well, I'm going to go through my closet, and when it's all done, then I'm going to start. No. Throw it away. Don't even give it away because you're giving away poison. So artificial sweetener is the number one step of the 7 deadly sins you need to give up right away. You want to avoid processed foods, sugars, particularly fructose, high fructose corn syrup, grains, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, because that's going to help normalize what's called your insulin levels and your leptin levels. It used to be fat, so I totally get what it's like to sit down and eat a cake, to sit down and eat a box of cookies. And what happens is when you eat certain foods like fructose, high fructose corn syrup or things with fructose in it, fructose slows down your production of something called leptin. Leptin is a hormone that's produced in your stomach. It goes into your brain, into your hypothalamus, and it tells you that you're full. So if you were like me, and you just kept eating and eating and eating, and you know you ate too much food, and your stomach is hurting from eating too much food, but you still don't feel full, it's probably a leptin hypothalamus issue. Once again, it goes back to the brain. So if we can eat the right foods loaded with vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, that should help tremendously. I take something called Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source every single day. I have it sitting right here in front of me in the studio. In fact, I was talking to Ahmad before the show, and he says, oh, what'd you do? And I said, the other day I went for this big, long 10-mile hike, and I'm exhausted. And Ahmad, what was your first response?
I said, did you take extra Super Greens?
There you go. See, so Ahmad knows, and it's true. And I said, yes, I did, as a matter of fact. I doubled up today. So when you give the body the nutrients that you need, your body works a whole lot better, and that goes with the brain, for the brain as well. So I take Super Greens and Essential Source, and people say to me all the time, how do you just ramble answer after answer after answer when people call in? How do you talk about one topic for 2-3 hours at a time? My brain's no different than yours. My brain's old, but I keep it in good shape by giving it the proper nutrients that it needs. So I always say everyone should be taking Super Greens and Essential Source. And those are on my website, by the way, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world. They're also on Amazon. If you have an Amazon account, we have a lot of my products there. If you're looking for a guide, how do I do this? Where do I start? Get my book. It's called Prescription for Extreme Health. It really is a good guide to help you through the chemical and the physical things that you need to do to obtain and maintain good health. Hey, listen, I got to go to a break. If you have a question, give me a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E. That number rings through to my office when I'm not on the air, 844-44-DR-JOE. My website, if you want to listen to radio shows, watch videos of my lectures. If you have questions, send them to me through my website, drjoeesposito.com. I'm there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week via the website. I think you'll learn a lot of stuff when you go to the website. Hey, do me a favor. Got to go to break. Tell your friends about the show. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, this is the show that's going to turn your life around, because what we want to do is we want to give you the tools that you need to naturally get well and stay well, because a lot of people have been doing this for a long time, tens of thousands of people I've spoken to personally, say, Dr. Joe, I'm ready to get well. I just don't know what to do. Tell me what I need to do to help with my neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling. And today we're talking about depression, digestive problems, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. Sounds like you? Probably does. And I want to give you the tools that you need to do to fix these problems. Not treat the symptoms, but actually get to the cause. I'm not against treating symptoms. If somebody's on depression, they're on medication, and it's working. I want you to stay on that medication. But then I want you to think, what can I do to help get to the cause of this problem so I don't need the medication? Patients come to me all the time and say, Dr. Joe, I want to get off my medication. I said, good. But they said, can you do that? I said, I don't know. I can give you the tools you need to get healthy so that hopefully you won't need it. And they said, that's what we're looking for. So that's what we do in our offices. We try to get you well and keep you well. So we're talking about depression. And addressing your nutrition, of course, is going to be important. Certain nutrients are also known to cause symptoms of depression when they're lacking. Certain herbs and nutritional supplements can help counteract those symptoms. Once again, I'm not saying instead of medication. I'm saying let's see if we can fix it a different way. To suggest that depression is rooted in nutritional deficiencies and other lifestyle problems does not detract from the fact that it's a serious problem and it needs to be addressed with compassion, and don't be judgmental. People don't want to be this way. They are. But now you can have the tools to help yourself and others. It shifts the conversation when you start looking at it that way about what are the most appropriate answers and remedies. Sometimes depression can be caused by financial problems. It could be caused by relationship problems, right? You've been depressed because you had a bad relationship. It could be caused by medication. I know I've had patients come in already that are taking high blood pressure medication, which ties into our next caller here. And they're taking blood pressure medication, and now suddenly they're having problems in the romantic department. And now they're depressed. And so that can be an issue as well. So we're going to take a caller, and then we're going to go back to giving you just bullet points of things that you want to consider adding into your life or taking out of your life to help with the depression. And by the way, if you have a question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. And that's what Larry just did. Larry, how can we make your day better?
I have uncontrollable blood pressure problems.
Okay.
It's on the high side.
Right.
It runs from 222 over 122 down to 178 over 98.
Okay.
All of those are high. I was wondering, none of the medicines they give me is working. I was wondering if you had a holistic approach.
All right, let's talk about that. A couple of things. We'll talk about the physical approach, then we'll talk about the chemical approach. Physically, the same nerve that controls a good portion of your digestive system also controls a good portion of your heart. It's called the vagus nerve. And if you have acid reflux, heartburn, constipation, diarrhea, the stomach or digestive system could be spasming, irritating the vagus nerve. If the vagus nerve is being irritated, it can send an impulse over to the heart and cause the heart to beat harder or faster or irregular. I know when my stomach acts up, if my stomach pushes up against my diaphragm, one of the things I start to do is I burp a lot, but another symptom I see is my heart starts to race really quickly. And as soon as I go to one of my doctors, have them pull my stomach down away from my diaphragm, amazing. My heart stabilizes, my blood pressure drops. So there could be
my pulse is about 81.
Okay, so that's okay, a little high. So what we want to do then, do you have any acid reflux or heartburn, burping, gas, bloating?
No.
Okay, all right. So that may not be the issue. But for a lot of other folks, if you have that, we need to take the stomach and pull it down away from the diaphragm. That oftentimes helps the acid reflux, but can help the heartburn, the high blood pressure. Second thing we want to look at is we want to look at your diet. Now, the big news on blood pressure, of course, is salt. Stay away from salt. Stay away from salt. There's good salt and there's bad salt. Bad salt is the white salt, white table salt. You want to throw that out of your house. You should never have that in your house. Don't even think about it. Air-dried sea salt, the pink salt, Himalayan salt, Celtic sea salt, those are good salts. They have a lot of minerals in them, over 70 different minerals that can actually help the blood pressure in small amounts. So get all the white salt out of your house, switch to either Himalayan or a Celtic sea salt. Number 2, sugar. I did a show on this several months ago, could be worse than salt. Because when you eat a lot of sugar, your body produces something called insulin. And insulin is released from the pancreas. It goes out to all the cells in the body and tells the cells to open up and allow sugar in.
My A1C is about 5.2.
Okay. And any advice on that? Anybody give you advice on that?
They said I was not diabetic.
Okay. Okay, but if you're eating too much sugar, you're releasing insulin. Part of the insulin molecule is magnesium.
Well, I don't eat any sugar because I'm obese. Well, I'm not obese, but I'm heavy.
Okay, so breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas? None of that?
Well, I eat a lot of bread.
Okay, got to stop that. That's sugar. Okay? So when insulin is released because of eating breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pasta, sugar, insulin molecule contains magnesium. Magnesium relaxes your blood vessels, opens up the blood vessels, and drops the pressure. So white salt is bad, and sugar is probably as bad or worse than salt because you're wasting magnesium. You can also try adding things like almonds or avocados to your diet because they're going to be high in the magnesium and nutrients that can act as a vasodilator and open up your blood vessels.
Would the magnesium supplement help?
That would help, but don't take too much. If you take too much, you'll get diarrhea. So probably, magnesium supplement may help. That's why I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. I've got the nutrients that you need in there across the board. Whether it's calcium, magnesium, whatever it is that your body's lacking, I try to fill in those gaps for myself as well as everybody else. So that would be a good start. And adding an avocado or two to your diet, and you got to cut out that bread, Larry. Breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, those have to go. Eat more fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds, and that should help the blood pressure. Okay?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Larry. I appreciate it. So, so many times when it comes to things like Larry's question, we think, okay, I have high blood pressure. I need to lower the blood pressure. Well, that's true because high blood pressure can kill you. But then the question comes up, why do I have high blood pressure? Why do I have depression? Why do I have acid reflux? Why do I have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain? I'm a chiropractor. When patients come in, I want to find out why they're having their problem and get to the cause of the problem and then fix it. Again, I'm not against drugs and surgery. I'm against unnecessary use of drugs and surgery. If you have a healthcare question, give me a call here at the studio, 844-44-DR-JOE, 844-44-DRJOE. That number rings through to my office when I'm not on the air. You want to get Super Greens, Essential Source, my books, listen to my podcast, watch videos of my lectures, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Hey, thanks for listening. This is the show about your health and the things that you need to do to get well and stay well. We're going to save you a ton of money, hopefully add a lot of years to your life, and add a lot of quality to your life as well, because I've been sick and I've been healthy, and I'll tell you what, if I have to pick between the two, it's a lot more fun to be healthy. And the cool part is it's a whole lot less expensive. You'll save money on food. You'll save money on doctor bills. You'll save money on insurance premiums. You'll save money on pretty much everything. Going out to dinner. Go to a restaurant, cover up the food, look at the prices. Inevitably, the cheapest thing on the menu is going to be the healthiest, the best choice on the menu. It may not be a good choice. It'll be the best choice. And start thinking about maybe some ethnic restaurants as opposed to just steak and potatoes. Maybe some Thai food, Vietnamese food, Ethiopian food. Absolutely one of my favorites, Ethiopian food. You can get a veggie plate. In fact, a friend of mine and I went out to dinner the other night. It was $12 for this huge plate of food. We split it, $6 each, and we were both stuffed. And so when you start looking at what the rest of the world eats, a lot of the food they eat is healthy by accident. They can't afford the toxic chemicals that some of us rich countries can eat on a daily basis. And so the food they eat is just healthy by default. It's because it doesn't have the poisons in it. So we're talking today about depression, and I want to just give you a ton of things that I want you to start considering. And we're just going to keep yapping and yapping until I run out of a ton of things. You don't have to do everything I say. That's the thing. Some people say, well, Dr. Joe, I want to get chiropractic care because I've heard it helps with back pain and neck pain and shoulder pain, and it realigns the joints so the joints don't wear out. Yeah, that's great. And Dr. Joe, I need to, change my diet, but I have a refrigerator full of food, or, I was raised a certain way. I get it. Do something. Take a step. And when you take that step, you'll say, okay, that works. Now what else can I do? Well, I can drink more water. Okay, that's free. I can do that. Oh, gosh, I drink water. I feel better. I got to cut out that coffee because you told me it's one of the most highly sprayed foods with pesticides. Let me cut back on my coffee or at least do organic coffee. I had one of my patients the other day come in and she was negotiating with me. A lot of you do that, by the way. I can give up the sugar and I can give up the bread, but I can't give up my coffee. I said, can you switch to organic? She said, I can do that. So she came in, a couple weeks later. I said, how's your organic coffee doing? And she said, it tastes so much better. And she goes, because it tastes better, I find I'm drinking less because I'm enjoying the flavor more. And so I think you were right. She said the 3 words, I love a woman to whisper in my ear. That makes sense. It does make sense. If something tastes good, you're probably not going to eat more of it unless it's addicting, and coffee is very dehydrating. And I told they add more water to her diet as well. All right, couple of things. Vitamin D. We got to get our vitamin D levels up, folks. It's an epidemic, and a lot of studies show that vitamin D deficiency can predispose you to depression, and that depression can respond favorably to optimizing your vitamin D stores, ideally by getting regular, sensible sun exposure. And I've talked about this a lot in past shows. I did a show on sunscreen, as a matter of fact, very popular show. It's always, I never know what shows are going to be popular and what aren't because I just go out there and start yapping. But the sunscreen show, really popular because a lot of the sunscreens you're using, in fact, most of them are toxic. And so that's where the problem comes in. But we also talked about healthy sun. One study, people with vitamin D level below 20 nanograms per milliliter, that's how we measure vitamin D, had an 85% increased risk of depression compared to those with a greater level, a level greater than 30 nanograms per milliliter. Now, that's one thing they tested, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here. You test one thing and say, oh, well, this must be an issue. Well, people that are out in the sun more often probably eat more, they exercise more, so their vitamin D levels are higher. Was it the vitamin D that made a difference? Probably, but I'm not sure it was the whole story. You want to get the whole package of healthcare: normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, good nutrition. All right, so here's a rule on sun. I want you out in the sun as much as you can for no more than about 15 or 20 minutes a day, preferably at noon. I know that's against what you've heard in the past. Oh, don't get too much direct sun. When your skin starts to get warm or turn a little pink, stop. 10 minutes is fine. 15 minutes is fine. If you don't have time to lay out in the sun, I have a sunroof or a moonroof. I don't know what it is in my car. I open it up. I have my arms exposed. Don't expose sunlight on your face. It can cause wrinkles and speed up the aging process. Your skin on your face is thinner. And try to get as much sunlight as you can every day. And that alone creates something called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels. And this may be one of the reasons why people say when I'm on vacation, I'm a little friskier. Well, it could be that you're getting sun if you're going to sunny places on vacation. Nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels and increase your friskativity. Is that a word? How about that? I'll make that one up. Let's go to the callers. Rhonda, how can we make your day better?
Hi. I was wondering if you could tell me what to do for someone that doesn't eat any vegetables.
Okay. That's you and everybody else in the world, right? Okay.
Well, I'm basically saying nothing. No
Okay.
vegetables whatsoever. No greens, no oranges, no yellows,
Okay.
nothing.
I have the answer for you. Real simple. Years ago, somebody came to me and said, Dr. Joe, what would you consider the world's best supplement? And I said, if somebody could take fruits and vegetables and put them in a pill, wouldn't that solve your problem? Right, Rhonda, if I can give you a pill and say, take the pill and you're done? I did that, sort of. So what we do is Dr. Joe's Essential Source, that's a product that I take every day. We take fruits and vegetables, juice them, take the water out at a very low temperature, and what's left is a powder. Then we add prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, and a complete multivitamin. So for someone like you, 1 scoop of Essential Source is about 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables.
That's fantastic.
And a whole lot cheaper than if you're eating 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables. Now, yeah, you should eat fruits and vegetables, but I'm not going to win that argument with you, I can tell. So let's give you a solution. So fruits and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, try a scoop a day. I mix it with coconut milk or almond milk because I don't do dairy products. I also add Dr. Joe's Super Greens to it. I take a scoop of each. But for your question, it will be Essential Source. And I think you'll be thrilled because if you eat nothing and you start putting that much in your body, you should be excited as heck. So try that. Do it for a month. And if you like it, just do it forever.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rhonda. And folks, if you want to get the Super Greens, the Essential Source, they're on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Amazon carries my books, my supplements, a lot of products we have on Amazon now. And by the way, Amazon just bought, Ahmad,
Whole Foods.
Whole Foods. Ahmad's paying attention. Good. That's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see what happens. That's an interesting, some strange bedfellows there. Yeah.
I thought it was kind of weird, but we'll see.
Yeah, I know. They haven't bought my products yet. They haven't bought out Dr. Joe Super Greens yet.
Keyword is yet.
Yet, that's right. Is it Jeff Bezos? Bezos is the president of Amazon?
I think so. No.
So I got it. Jeff, if you're listening, call me. We'll cut a deal. Although I do sell your products on my products on Amazon already. So, but start there, folks, and at least start giving your body the nutrients that it needs. And a lot of people report, we're talking about depression today, when they start taking Super Greens and Essential Source, their energy level goes up. They start to feel better. They start to feel better about themselves. And a lot of their anxiety and depression starts to fade away. So, folks, if you have a healthcare question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, my website, drjoeesposito.com. Oh, by the way, like me on Facebook. We send out a lot of good stuff on Facebook, too, Dr. Joe Esposito, Facebook/Dr. Joe Esposito. And again, the website, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, thanks for listening. I do appreciate that. This is the show that's going to turn your life around if you're ready. I have to say that if you're ready. Because I say a lot of times to patients, if you want to make an appointment, you can call 844-44-DR-JOE and come see us. But I always tell them two things. If you make an appointment, you got to show up because we're going to reserve time for you. And the other thing is, I said, you got to be ready to make some changes. Because if you're not ready to do anything different than what you're doing right now, there's no sense in coming to see us. There's no sense in sending me questions. Because why are you going to get information and then not utilize at least some of it? I know you're not going to do everything. I remember years ago, I had an IT guy. And he said, one of the best things you ever said on your show was you told somebody you don't have to do everything all at once and it's not so overwhelming. But be ready to do something. Start taking some good supplements. Cut out some of the 7 deadly sins: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Eat something raw at every meal. Broccoli, cucumbers, tomatoes. I had 2 avocados today, as a matter of fact. Try to do something and take those small steps. And so today we're talking about depression, which is the #1 cause of disability in the country, in the world, actually. And no one's talking about it. Take a medication, take a pill. A lot of those pills can lead to some real serious problems as well. Now, I'm not saying don't take the pill. I'm saying start taking the steps so you don't need the pill. Omega-3 fatty acids. This is a biggie. A lot of people are deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. So it's called DHA and EPA. DHA is the one that helps with this. It's probably the single most important nutrient for optimum brain function, and therefore that can help prevent depression. Now, you can get DHA from a lot of different sources. Fish oil, of course, is the one most people think of. Fish oil is not a good source because fish oil can be loaded with mercury. And if you have mercury in your body, that can cause some neurological problems. So fish oil, not a good idea. If you're going to do fish oil, I want to make sure that it's certified mercury-free because the mercury is like a metal. It's a heavy metal. It can actually short-circuit your brain. So fish oil, okay. Krill oil. Krill is in a phospholipid form, so it's easier to digest and utilize. Less chance of mercury toxicity as well. But the best source is algae oil because algae don't live very long. And so they don't have a lot of time to collect up the mercury, lead, and other chemicals. So algae oil, krill don't live very long, so they have less mercury. But the algae is the purest form because fish don't produce omega-3 fatty acids. Fish get it from eating smaller fish who eat algae. Algae is the source of the omega-3 fatty acids. So that's what I take every single day. Now, the downside to algae oil is it's a little expensive. But if you're saving so much money by eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, and staying away from the meats and the dairies and the coffees and the sodas and the artificial sweeteners, you're going to have so much money left at the end of the week, you're not going to know what to do with yourself. You're going to think that you took on a second job. Really, that's how easy it is. So you want to start looking at not only getting yourself healthy from a physical standpoint, but from a financial standpoint. And I love it when patients come to my offices, and I've been doing this for a long time. They say, Dr. Joe, I'm just blown away. You are absolutely right. I feel better. I have more energy. I'm working harder. I'm able to put in more hours at work if they need to and make more money. My family life, my love life, my church life, everything's improved. And I'm loaded with money at the end of the week. I don't drink. Last time I had a drink, I think I was 28 years old. I just don't like the way alcohol makes me feel. This is years ago. And a drink alone, how much is a glass of wine? $10, $12, $15? I could eat 2 or 3 meals on that. So you start making these little changes. You think, I'm not going to give up my alcohol. I understand. Back in college, what was the word we used? Front load or something like that? You'd have drinks before you went out. And so then you save money at the bar. But just making little changes like that, you can buy a lot of beans for the cost of 1 pound of meat. And that's going to help the body work a lot better. You got to get your B vitamins. Low dietary folate, which is called vitamin B9, is a risk factor for severe depression, raising your risk by as much as 300%. So a lot of people are B vitamin deficient. If you're using a supplement, make sure it's methylfolate. This is the form of folic acid that's the most effective. Other B vitamin deficiencies, B1, B2, B3, B6, B8, B12. They also have the ability to produce symptoms of neuropsychiatric problems. B12 deficiency in particular can contribute to depression in 1 in 4 people. Now, many people report when they start taking Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, they're getting nutrients they've never gotten before. And they just feel so much better. And the B vitamins, I'm a vegan. I don't eat animal products. You get B12 when bacteria eat rotten flesh or dead flesh, and they spit out some of their waste product. That's where B12 comes from. So if you're a meat eater, you have a higher chance of getting B12 than if you're a vegan. Well, I'm not willing to go eating meat for one thing. It's really the only thing that's a benefit of that. And so I take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Essential Source. If you want to take a B vitamin supplement, you can take that. You can use something called nutritional yeast. I use nutritional yeast every day. In fact, I had it on salad today. So nutritional yeast is a great source of B vitamins, and it really adds a nice flavor to the food as well. And when you eat it, you get a lot of energy. So if you have a salad at lunch with nutritional yeast on it, you're not going to have the heaviness and the bloating that happens most people get after lunch from eating pizza and hamburgers. You're going to get a lot more fiber, which is going to help clean out your colon, which is going to help get a lot of waste products out of the system, helping with depression. Throw some nutritional yeast on there, get your B vitamins. Where's the downside? There isn't a downside. And the nice part is when you start getting yourself healthy, again, as a chiropractor, patients come in pain. Pain is a stress, and stress can lead to depression. There's physical stress, mental stress, and chemical stress. So just by getting you out of pain can help tremendously with depression. Then we had the other things. Hey, folks, when we come back, we're going to talk about the connection between that acid reflux, the heartburn, and the burping, and how that affects your brain and your depression. If you have a healthcare question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E, my website, 24 hours a day. Order supplements, send me questions, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe with the #1 Dr. Joe in the world. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. I want to teach you how to get well, save money, live longer, have a lot more energy. No downside to being healthy that I can think of, really, except if you stay away from those bad foods that taste good. I remember they taste good. I remember those days. That's the downside. But other than that, I think what you're getting for what you're giving up is really well worth it. I've been doing it for over 30 years. Trust me, it works. So we're talking today about depression and things we can do. You got to eat more antioxidant-rich foods. And, you know, it's funny because when I started doing the research on this for the show, which I do on every show, and I started saying, you know what, this sounds exactly like every show I've ever done, every book I've ever written on what to eat, what not to eat. You got to get your digestive system working because your stomach's job is to take proteins and break them into amino acids. Now, the amino acid tryptophan combines with vitamin B6 and creates a chemical called 5-HTP. 5-HTP becomes serotonin. Serotonin is the neurotransmitter in your brain that helps you be calm and happy. Serotonin becomes melatonin, which helps you sleep. So this is why so many people with brain disorders or mental disorders or anxiety disorders, I don't know if I'm using the correct words here, have sleep problems because your body is not producing the right chemicals that make you sleep. So if you have heartburn, burping, gas, acid reflux, scratchy throat, chronic cough, runny nose, these are all signs that you might have some acid reflux. And what we need to do is take the stomach and gently massage it or pull it down away from the diaphragm so it relaxes, so that your stomach can now break the proteins into amino acids. And when you do that, you start producing tryptophan, which becomes serotonin. Tyrosine becomes dopamine, which gives you pleasure. Many times when we're depressed, we don't have a lot of pleasure in our lives. Glutamine becomes GABA. GABA helps suppress other neurotransmitters. So you need the raw materials for your brain to work. It just doesn't poof, come out of midair and your brain works. You need to have the right neurotransmitters, and you get that by A, eating the right food, but B, making sure you're able to absorb the right food. It's not just what you ingest, it's what you digest. Okay, let's take some more callers. Randy, how can we make your day better?
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Well, I've recently been diagnosed with congestive heart failure, and my blood pressure keeps bottoming out, and I'm trying to figure ways to keep it from doing that.
Okay. One of the things that happens with when the blood pressure is too low is the adrenal glands are not working. So the adrenal glands can burn out. If you have congestive heart failure, chances are you've done things in your life to put a lot of stress on your body. Mm-hmm. And the adrenal glands produce adrenaline to give you energy. And so what you have to be careful with is the adrenal glands working? If adrenal glands aren't working, we have to boost them. Now, there's a couple of supplements that you can take. And now, in a case like yours, Randy, especially since you have congestive heart failure, we might want to test your adrenal glands. We can do a test in our office, and if you can come to our office, it's great. If not, we can send you the kit. And it's a saliva test. We have you spit in a little tube, really, is what it boils down to for a while, just a little bit. And we can test it to see if the adrenals are working or not. And if they're not, then I'd recommend some supplements. I take Eleuthero and Withenia every day, which are herbal supplements to help my adrenals. If you do animal products, a lot of people do, we can give you Drenamin, which is another supplement that contains animal products, and get the adrenal glands working again. And hopefully, if we can get the adrenal glands working again, not only will it help your blood pressure, it'll help with inflammation, which hopefully will give you some benefits with the congestive heart failure.
Okay.
So you might have a double whammy going on there. So that's probably what it is adrenal insufficiency.
Cool.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay.
Thanks, Randy. Yeah, we do a lot of testing in our office. So we do hair analysis. Hair analysis is great because you can test for minerals. Because if I take a blood sample of you, blood is a picture of you at a moment in time. I remember one time years ago, I took a blood sample and I had high triglycerides. Well, my triglycerides were high because the day before I had eaten a big pasta meal. And it was gluten-free, but it was still a lot of pasta, which was sugar, and the sugar converted into glucose and then glycogen and then triglycerides, which gets stored as fat. And I had it tested again a couple of days later. It was perfectly normal. Hair analysis is over time. Testing your A1C is a blood test that tests over time. So that's the way I like to do it. We can do adrenal tests. Now, we can test you for food allergies as well. And that's kind of neat because if your body's producing the antigens, and then we try to get your body normalized so that it starts to work properly. So we do a lot of testing in our office as well. So we're talking about things that you can do if you have depression. And antioxidant-rich foods, we talked about that, the fruits, the vegetables, the nuts, the seeds, things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. St. John's Wort. It's interesting. I was hiking the other day, and they had this big bush, beautiful bush. And I said, what is that? And they said, St. John's Wort. The word wort, W-O-R-T, actually means flower in Old English. So it's St. John's flower. It's a medicinal plant, long history for being used with depression. It's thought to work similar to antidepressants by raising the brain chemicals associated with mood, things like serotonin, dopamine, and noradrenaline or norepinephrine. And so that's an option as well. Now, be careful if you're taking medication. You might want to check with your doctor to see if it's safe for you to take the supplements as well. In this case, St. John's Wort. Most of the other ones are okay. There's something called SAM-E. It's SAM with a small E on it. This is an amino acid, and it transfers methyl groups into your DNA. Don't worry about the chemistry there, too. But it's shown to help as well. Now, we said if your digestive system isn't working, you're not breaking proteins into amino acids. An amino acid tryptophan combines with B6 and creates a chemical called 5-HTP. People have taken 5-HTP as a supplement. Now, that could help because it's a natural alternative because it kind of sets up the body to start producing serotonin. It's kind of part of the conveyor belt. It's okay, but the question arises then, why is your body not producing 5-HTP? And the chances are it's because of a digestive problem. You're not breaking your proteins into amino acids. If you have an unhealthy bacteria in your colon, unhealthy gut, it should say, your gut is the thing that produces the B vitamins. The bacteria eat things and spit out their waste product, and B vitamins are one of the bacteria waste products. So if you don't have a healthy gut, we need to get the gut healthy too. And we do that by staying away from the foods that are killing the bacteria in your colon, like antibiotics. Not saying you should stop taking antibiotics if you need them, but you're taking them every day if you're eating things like meat, dairy products, commercial animal products. Because farmers use antibiotics to feed their livestock to prevent disease and also help them grow fatter so we can sell them faster and make more money. And hey, that's capitalism. But you're then eating these small doses of antibiotics day after day after day, which then start to slowly kill off the bacteria in your colon, which can prevent you from producing your own B vitamins. And so I really want you to consider, if you're going to eat animal products, now I choose not to. I haven't had them in over 30 years. But if you do choose to eat animal products, I'm going to recommend organic only, or don't eat them. That's my opinion. And most people, when they report back, if they do that, say, Doc, you know what? It tastes better. I feel better when I eat them. And I don't eat as much because it's more expensive. So there you go. So if money is your motivator here, another reason to cut back, if you're going to, quote, treat yourself with an animal product, make sure it's organic. And the trend is going that way. I remember years ago when I first went vegan, it was salads basically. And now you go to a grocery store, they got whole sections of plant-based substitutes. They have turkey and chicken and beef and pizzas. And it's a lot easier to eat healthy today than it ever has been. And it's a lot easier to eat organic today than it has been since probably before the 1980s. Folks, if you have a healthcare question, give us a call, 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E. My website, if you want to order Dr. Joe Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, send me questions, drjoeesposito.com. Like me on Facebook. We send out lots of good information on Facebook. We're also on Instagram now, so you can follow us there too. Hey, folks, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. Tell your friends about the show. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Give you straight talk on healthcare. This is my goal, is I want to give you straight talk. I want to give you the tools you need to get well and stay well. And today we're talking about depression, which is the number one cause of illness and disability in the world. I thought it was just the United States until I did my research. It's the world. And a lot of people have it. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, and it becomes a real serious issue. So we'll give you a lot of things that you can consider incorporating into your life. And one of the things, and this is the biggest thing I found in my research over 35 years now, I've been seeing patients between my school and practicing for 32 years, is that there's a digestive problem that everyone seems to overlook. Acid reflux, burping, gas, bloating, constantly clearing your throat, a runny nose. That could be the acid coming up into your esophagus. And the danger of this is that if the acid eats away at your esophagus, it can lead to things like esophageal cancer, which is not a good thing. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of that. Don't ignore it. And if you're taking medication for acid reflux, that oftentimes helps cover up the symptoms. But do understand that a lot of those medications can prevent you from absorbing calcium, magnesium, B12, and iron. Oh, well, that's kind of important, because as a chiropractor, I'm not against the drugs. Please, if you need them, take them. But if you're not absorbing B12, that can affect your nervous system and your energy levels. A lot of people report when they start taking the acid reflux medications, they're tired all the time. And so that could be the reason, is you're just not absorbing your B12 because of that. Something else I want to talk about, then I'll go back to the callers. We have lots of callers. If you have a question, 844-44-DR-JOE, D-R-J-O-E, is cranial manipulation. I remember I was on WebMD. It was one of the websites that I peruse constantly on the net, and I'm always reading journals. And one thing they said was that your skull bones can't move. Once you're old, they fuse, and that's it. Well, that's totally 100% wrong. I didn't know who to call and email. I didn't know what to tell them that. But your skull bones, if you ever watch a baby, when a baby is born and they're nursing, every time they suckle, their skull goes in and out. It's like, and the skull goes in and out. As you get older, those bones still have what's called sutures between them, or little joints, and they actually move. They expand as you inhale, and they contract as you exhale. And that's what pumps your cerebrospinal fluid through your spine and into your brain. And if those skull bones are jammed up and not moving, just like if any other bone in your body is fixated and not moving, it can affect function. And I've had patients with anxiety disorders, depression, and we tried a lot of things. It wasn't working. And then I'll check their skull. And we'll do some cranial adjustments or cranial manipulations. And when you do that, you open up the flow of cerebrospinal fluid. And I had a patient just recently in a panic attack, just having a panic attack. Got in there, worked on her skull. Soon as we were done, minutes, headache went away, panic attack was gone. So it's something else to consider, that if you've ever had a head injury, a concussion, hit your head, a football injury, hockey injury, car accidents, that could be contributing physically to your depression, not just chemically. So we want to check all the nervous system. We want to check the digestive system for acid reflux and burping and gas, and then we massage the stomach away from the diaphragm. We want to get you on the nutrients that your body needs to feed the brain, and now you have a plan. Up to this point, you haven't had a plan. Most people don't know what to do. Now you have multiple steps that you can take. Let's go back to the calls. Got a lot more to talk about, but you guys keep calling us. Hey, Phyllis, how can we make your day better?
Hey, Dr. Joe. Love what you're saying about depression. My high-grade liquid triglyceride form of cod liver oil has been amazing. I don't suffer from depression, but I do get occasional anxiety attacks and sometimes the doldrums. So in addition to all of the other positive attributes of cod liver oil, it has certainly helped with that. When my doctor placed me on a blood thinner for AFib, I was advised to discontinue the cod liver oil. So getting back to what you were saying earlier about the algae oil and the krill oil, can either of those be taken while you're on a blood thinner, or is it advisable to avoid those as well?
Okay, and this is a problem I have with some of my colleagues. They say if you take a blood thinner and you're taking omega-3 fatty acids, well, that can thin your blood more, so don't take the omega-3 fatty acids.
Okay.
My approach would be, well, what if we monitor my blood and see if I'm taking the krill oil, perhaps I don't need as much blood thinner.
Take the blood thinner. I love it.
See my approach? But you have to get a doctor who's willing to monitor your blood for you. I don't want you to do this on your own. Monitor I say the same thing. My Super Greens and Essential Source, which are just amazing supplements, have vitamin K in them. So I tell people, doctors say, well, don't take vitamin K if you're on blood thinners because it'll coagulate your blood, and it's kind of counterproductive. My approach would be, let's monitor you before we make just a blanket statement like that. Go to your doctor and say, listen, I want to take some supplements because you need vitamin K, not just for coagulation of blood, but for other things. What if we monitor my blood work and see what happens? And inevitably, when the doctors say yes and they monitor it, patients are fine. But
upcoming exam, so I will run that by him, and you are my hero this Sunday. I thank you so much.
You're making me blush, Phyllis. Thanks so much. I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot. See, I like girls like Phyllis. Smart girl, right? Right, Ahmad? She thinks I'm
brilliant.
Brilliant, yes. Brilliant. I always said if brains were looks, I'd be like the Mr. America of radio here. So, but if looks were looks, then I wouldn't be. So we got to put that as one of our liners or something. If brains were looks, So I like that. Came up with that one. Sorry about that, Keisha. How can we make your day better?
Hi. I've been dealing with H. pylori for like 9 years, and now they're saying I have leaky gut syndrome.
Yep.
And I'm trying to find a way because I don't want to be back on the antibiotics anymore, and to find a way to do it naturally without, because the antibiotics is obviously not helping. I've been dealing with it for like 9 years.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm not really, I'm not. Yeah.
And I'm not against the antibiotics, but what they do is they don't only kill the H. pylori. Now, let me explain what H. pylori is. It's a bacteria that's in your stomach, and it can lead to ulcers. And so the logical, and this was groundbreaking when this came out, that a medical doctor, gosh, I can't remember his name now offhand, but he's the one that came with the idea that ulcers are not caused by what we thought it was. It's caused by a bacteria. So if we give you antibiotics to kill the bacteria, sometimes it works, but those antibiotics are not specific. They kill all the bacteria, good and bad, all throughout your whole body. So what we find in the research when it comes to H. pylori is that many times it's not that you have, it's that you have too little stomach acid. And the bacteria now are able to thrive. So if we can raise your stomach acid, we create an environment that kills off the bacteria just in your stomach. And you digest your food better. So what I would suggest is try this raw organic apple cider vinegar. Try that. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go to a break. Can you hold on for a second?
Okay.
All right, hold on 1 second. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. If you have a question, 844-44-DR-JOE. That number rings through to my office when I'm not on the air. My website, if you want to order Dr. Joe's Super Greens, an essential source, what I consider the ultimate supplements. You can get them on the website. Also on Amazon, has a lot of my supplements and my books there as well. But the website, drjoeesposito.com. Hey, tell your friends about the show. We'll be right back. The number one complaint I get in my offices is, why didn't I do this sooner? Everyone says, well, wow, this makes sense. Why didn't I do this sooner? And they're happy with it. So if you're ready to get well and stay well, this is the show for you. Now, we were on the line with, it was Keisha. Still there, Keisha?
Hi.
Yes, okay. You were saying that you have H. pylori, which is a bacteria that causes ulcers in the stomach. and the antibiotics aren't working anymore. And so one approach you might want to consider trying is raising your stomach acid. And we can do that pretty simply by taking something called raw organic apple cider vinegar. Take about 2 tablespoons. Try it once a day. Now, I don't like the flavor, I'll be honest with you. My new book, Prescription for Extreme Health, I have a chapter on this because it's so effective for helping the digestive system. But try 2 tablespoons, mix it with a big glass of water, or drink it straight if you can. I personally can't. Use it in a salad. Just get it into your system. Try that for about 2 weeks and see if it helps. If it doesn't help, then we can go to the next step, which would be taking something called betaine hydrochloride. This is hydrochloric acid, it's a digestive enzyme, and you can take that in a pill form, and that can help stimulate your acid levels in the stomach. And in many cases of H. pylori, we raise the stomach acid, kill off the bacteria, the stomach heals, and then you're fine. So it's not that you need less stomach acid, you need more stomach acid. Make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's give that a shot.
So
go ahead.
So 2 times a day for 2 weeks. 2 tablespoons.
Right. See how that works. If not, then give my office a call, 844-44-Dr. and I could recommend some other supplements like betaine hydrochloride to stimulate your acid levels even higher.
All right. Awesome. I'm heading to the store right now.
That sounds great. Thanks so much. All right. Let's go to Keith. Keith, tell me your story.
Yes, Dr. Joe, you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, my daughter, 12-year-old daughter, is a competitive tennis player.
Yes.
And when she plays in the heat,
yes,
her stamina is not there. She wilts.
Sure.
And no endurance. So she had to default a match yesterday.
Right.
Because of the heat. And this has been going on for a couple of years, but she typically doesn't have a lot of energy.
Okay.
We've had her tested for Hashimoto's, like low iron deficiency.
Sure.
The blood test with a pediatrician came back negative.
Right. Good.
But she's the only kid in the tournament that just, when she gets into these in the heat, after about 45 minutes to an hour, she is just completely, she's completely gassed.
Sure. So.
And I'm just wondering if it's, of course, it could be a conditioning issue.
Yeah, but
also.
Yeah. Does she have bags under her eyes? Puffy eyes?
She does not.
Okay.
No.
A lot of times when I see this, it's an adrenal insufficiency. We got to get the adrenal glands working. So I would test her for adrenal. We can do that at our office. And if the adrenal glands are pooped out, then we get her on an adrenal supplement. Many times that solves the problem. The other thing you want to look at is what is she eating beforehand? Because when you're in the sun, it can lower your blood sugar levels. The sugar is driven into the cells because vasodilation and a whole process that goes on. And so we want to make sure she has a slow release of energy. If she's doing something like cookies or breads or pastas, that's a fast release of sugar and then a crash. You give her something with a lot of fiber in it. Okay, so vegetables are really good sources of fiber. Beans, but be careful of digestive issues there. We don't want to have a mistake on the courts there. But a high-fiber food, even like maybe you can try this when she's not playing, maybe a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon of chia seeds, CHIA, and slowly going to push the food through the colon and give her a slow release of energy. And then maybe a more of a protein meal beforehand as opposed to a carbohydrate meal, and that might help as well.
Okay.
Okay, so you got lots of things to try there.
The adrenal test.
The adrenal test, yeah, we can do that, and then try the meals and see what happens. And give it a Super Greens and Essential Source. A lot of athletes, just live and die by that. It's just crazy how much energy that gives you.
I'll take a look at it.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. If you want to get the Super Greens, the Essential Source, folks, those are on my website, drjoeesposito.com. Also on Amazon. We have an Amazon account there, too. And a lot of my other supplements, my books, a lot of good information is there. The website's there 24 hours a day for archive radio shows, videos of my lectures. Hey, find out when I'm doing a live lecture and come on out. It's a lot of fun. Send me your email address through the website. I'll put you on my email list. The live lectures, a lot of them are no charge, and they're a lot of fun because I can show you things I can't show you on the radio. Let's go back to the callers. Rhonda, how can we make your day better?
Yes, I had a couple of questions. I'm having a problem with dry eye.
Okay.
What's recommend for that?
Okay. Dry eyes, what I recommend for that is you can take some extra virgin organic coconut oil and rub it around your eyes 2-3 times a day. It's going to moisturize the eyes, but I find a lot of people that helps with dry eyes.
So just do it on your eyelids, the coconut
oil? Yeah, right
oil?
around you. Close your eyes and just rub it all around. Yep, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yep, works great.
I do have that. Okay.
Okay.
That's like the best thing to do.
Give that a shot. I think you'll be happy. Make sure you drink enough water, too, and make sure you have enough fat in your diet as well. Avocados every day, things like that. Olive oil, coconut oil are good for that. Okay?
Yeah, I do avocados every day, and do have tablespoon of coconut oil every day too. So.
Okay, good. Okay.
And my other question was, my mom I know she has Alzheimer's.
Right. Okay. Alzheimer's, I've done many shows on this. It's also called type 3 diabetes. The brain is just not capable of utilizing sugar anymore. Most people with Alzheimer's, we find, have eaten a sugary diet all their lives, and the brain become resistant to the sugar. It's called insulin resistance. So the brain utilizes glucose as its primary fuel, and then it utilizes ketones as its secondary fuel. So there's a good book. You might want to look it up. It's written by was she a medical doctor? I can't remember what her specialty was. It's called What If There Was a Cure? You just look that up. And she talks about giving her husband coconut oil, 2 or 3 tablespoons every day. And the coconut oil is high in not a sugar source. It helps give fuel to the brain, and the brain seemed to reverse a lot of the Alzheimer's. But with the Alzheimer's, you got to increase the circulation to the body, get her a lot of fluids. You got to cut out the sugar, the breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, and pastas. And then things like coconut oil create ketones. And when the brain switches from burning glucose as a fuel to burning ketones as a fuel, we start to see some really good results on that. So the book is, I'm pretty sure the name of the book is What If There Was a Cure, and you could read it there. I have no affiliation with the book. I just know it's a real good book on Alzheimer's.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. So there's a lot of answers out there, folks. And is it going to work every time? No. But nothing's going to work every time. So what I want you to consider, if you're looking for a wellness protocol, normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, good nutrition. Those are the 3 things you have to have in order to get well and stay well. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, muscle weakness, chances are it's a pinched nerve, and the most logical thing to do would be to unpinch it. If you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, these are signs you're not digesting your food properly. And that's what we talked about today with depression, is we may have to manually pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. If you go to my website and read the article on GERD, G-E-R-D, that's the most downloaded article on my website. And then get to good nutrition. Take Dr. Joe Super Greens, an essential source. See if that helps your energy. Take it for at least a month every day religiously and see what happens. Folks, thanks again for your time. I do appreciate that. My website, if you want to order supplements, send me questions, drjoeesposito.com. I'm now on Instagram. Like me on Facebook. We send out a lot of information on Facebook. We want to be your doctors. Hey, do me a favor. Tell your friends about the show. Catch you next time. Tell your friends about